The 5 children sat in a large, clear cell aboard the Draxorian ship. The walls were transparent but solid. They could see aliens moving about outside, studying displays and talking in their strange language. "I counted 3 mealtimes," said Maya, who had been keeping track of time since their capture. "So we've been here about 1 day." Benjamin nodded. He had been examining every inch of their cell. "These walls are some kind of advanced material. Not glass, but something stronger." Zack paced around the small space. "We need to find a way out." "And then what?" asked Owen, his eyes red from crying. "We're in space. We can't just walk home." Lily put her arm around the younger boy. "We'll figure it out. First, we need to understand this place and these aliens." Outside their cell, Research Director Voxthar watched the children with 3 of his scientists. "Observe their behavior," he said. "Unlike other primitive species, they are not huddled in fear. They explore their environment and communicate constantly." "The data shows elevated stress hormones," said one scientist, checking the screen. "Yet they display remarkable control. Perhaps the smaller humans have different responses than adults would." "Fascinating," said Voxthar. "Prepare for the separation procedure. We will study each specimen individually." Inside the cell, Maya suddenly stood up straight. "They're coming," she whispered. The door to their cell slid open, and 2 Draxorians entered. Each had a small device that hummed quietly. "You will come with us," one said, pointing at Benjamin. Benjamin stood his ground. "We stay together." The Draxorian tilted its head. "Compliance is not optional." As the aliens moved forward, Zack suddenly pointed behind them. "What's that?" he shouted. It was a simple trick, but the Draxorians turned slightly. In that moment, Lily reached down and grabbed a small tool that had fallen from one of the aliens' belts. She slipped it into her sock before they turned back. The aliens took Benjamin and left the cell. The door sealed behind them. "Did you see what I did?" Lily whispered, showing the others the stolen tool. It was small and silver, with tiny buttons along one side. "Good job," said Maya. "That might be useful." Meanwhile, Benjamin was led to a laboratory room. The walls were lined with strange equipment. In the center was a table with restraints. "Lie down," the Draxorian ordered. Benjamin looked at the table, then at the aliens. He wasn't going to make this easy for them. "I need to use the bathroom first," he said, remembering a trick from a spy movie he had seen. The Draxorians looked at each other, confused by the request. "Explain bathroom," one said. Benjamin explained in simple terms, watching as the aliens discussed among themselves. He was learning about them with every interaction. They were smart but literal. They didn't understand human needs well. "Use this," one finally said, handing him a container. Benjamin pretended to use it, but what he really wanted was to look around the lab. He noticed labels on equipment, patterns in how things were arranged. The aliens used a color coding system for their technology. He filed this information away. Back in the cell, the other children had discovered that the tool Lily stole was some kind of scanning device. When they pressed certain buttons, it displayed information about whatever it was pointed at. "Look," said Maya, studying the readings. "I think these patterns show the material composition of things." "Can we use it to find a weakness in the walls?" asked Zack. They started scanning the cell systematically, recording what they found by scratching marks into the floor with Owen's belt buckle. Hours later, Benjamin was returned to the cell. The others crowded around him. "Are you okay?" "What happened?" Lily asked. Benjamin nodded. "They ran tests, took samples. But I learned things too." He lowered his voice. "Their ship has 7 levels. We're on level 3. Their technology has patterns." And he smiled slightly. "I stole this." He pulled a small data card from inside his shoe. Maya's eyes widened. "What is it?" "I don't know yet, but they used it to access their computer systems." The 5 children huddled together, whispering plans, comparing notes. Outside, Voxthar watched with growing curiosity. "Remarkable," he said to his assistant. "They don't behave like specimens. They behave like—" "Like what, Director?" the assistant asked. Voxthar's eyes narrowed. "Like they're studying us." The stars shone brightly over Pinewood Lake as 5 children sat around a campfire. Marshmallows roasted on sticks as they told ghost stories and laughed. This was the highlight of summer vacation for the kids of Pinewood, the annual camping trip at the lake just outside of town. "I swear I saw something moving in the trees," said 12-year-old Zach Martinez, pointing toward the dark forest. His twin sister Lily rolled her eyes. "You always think you see something, Zach." "Well, maybe this time he's right," said Benjamin Adams, the oldest at 13. He adjusted his glasses and peered into the darkness. There was definitely a flash of light over there. 10-year-old Owen Clark hugged his knees to his chest. "You guys are just trying to scare me." "No one's trying to scare anyone," said Maya Johnson, who at 11 prided herself on being the voice of reason. "But I saw the light too." The children fell silent as another flash, brighter this time, illuminated the trees. It wasn't like lightning or a flashlight. It was a pulsing purple-blue glow that seemed to hover about 6 feet off the ground. "Maybe we should go back to the cabins and tell Mr. Peterson," Lily suggested, referring to their camp counselor. Benjamin stood up. "I'm going to check it out." "Ben, don't." Maya grabbed his sleeve, but Benjamin was already moving toward the trees. The other children followed, partly out of curiosity, and partly because they didn't want to be left alone by the fire. As they approached the tree line, the strange light grew brighter. "It's coming closer," whispered Zach, his earlier bravado fading. Suddenly, the light expanded, engulfing the children in its glow. They felt a strange tingling sensation all over their bodies, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to disappear. The world around them blurred, and for a moment, they felt weightless. When the light faded, they were no longer in the forest. They stood in a large, circular room with metallic walls that glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols covered the surfaces, and the air smelled like ozone, and something else they couldn't identify. "Where are we?" Owen's voice trembled. Before anyone could answer, a panel in the wall slid open. 3 tall figures entered the room. They had grayish-blue skin, elongated heads, and 4 arms each. Their eyes were large and completely black, without pupils or whites. The children huddled together as the tallest of the creatures approached them. It held a small device that emitted a soft humming sound. "Specimens acquired," it said in a voice that sounded like several people talking at once. 5 juvenile humans. Condition: optimal. They can speak English," whispered Maya. The tall creature tilted its head. Translation matrix functioning. Human language pattern simple. Primitive. Benjamin stepped forward despite his fear. "Who are you? Why did you take us?" The creature regarded him without emotion. "I am Research Director Voxthar of the Draxorian Empire. You are now property of the Imperial Science Academy." "Property?" Lily's voice rose in anger. "We're not property. We're people." Voxthar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Amusing. The specimen believes it has rights." It turned to one of its companions. Note the response. More advanced than preliminary studies suggested. Zach grabbed his sister's hand. "Our parents will look for us. People will know we're missing. Your primitive society will assume you were lost in your wilderness area. By the time any search reaches conclusion, you will be in Draxorian space, far beyond your planet's reach." The third alien pressed something on the wall, and a doorway opened. "Prepare for departure sequence. The acquisition was successful. Emperor Zelkar will be pleased with these specimens." As the children were herded through the doorway, they caught a glimpse through a large transparent panel. Below them, getting smaller by the second, was Earth. Their home was falling away as the alien ship accelerated toward the stars. Maya looked at the others, her eyes determined despite her fear. They think we're just scared kids. They don't know humans very well, do they? Benjamin nodded. And they're going to regret that mistake. The small town of Pinewood woke to chaos the next morning. 5 children missing from the lakeside camp sent parents rushing to the site, police tape marking off the area where they were last seen. Carol Martinez clutched her husband Eric's arm as they stared at the empty campsite. They wouldn't just wander off, all 5 of them, she said, her voice breaking. Not Zach and Lily. They know better. Police Chief Alan Wright shook his head as he approached the distraught parents. We found something strange. There's a perfect circle of dead grass about 20 feet into the woods. Nothing burned, just dead. And we can't find any footprints leading away from it. Miles away in an underground facility beneath an unmarked government building, Commander Sam Gardner received an urgent alert. The 40-year veteran of Earth's secret space defense initiative stared at the screen, his coffee forgotten as satellite data streamed in. "Play it again," he ordered. The technician nodded, rewinding the footage. The thermal imaging showed a craft, clearly not of Earth origin, hovering over Pinewood Lake. A beam of energy extended downward, and then 5 small heat signatures rose from the ground into the vessel. Moments later, the craft shot upward, breaking Earth's atmosphere in seconds. "Human biosignatures?" Gardner asked. "Confirmed, sir. Children, based on size." Gardner's face hardened. For decades, Earth had maintained a careful facade of being a primitive, pre-spaceflight civilization. After the Roswell incident in 1947 revealed alien existence, world leaders had made a bold decision: appear primitive while secretly developing advanced technology from recovered alien craft. He reached for the secure phone. "Get me the president. Authorization code Omega-7 Delta." Within an hour, Gardner stood in the Oval Office before President Diane Wilson. She listened silently as he explained the situation, her expression growing darker with each word. "You're certain they're children?" she asked when he finished. "Yes, Madam President. 5 of them, taken from a campsite in Pinewood." The president stood and walked to the window, looking out at the Washington Monument. "We've prepared for this day for over 70 years. We've built our fleet, trained our people, all while letting them think we're just primitive monkeys throwing rocks into space." She turned back to Gardner. "Who took them? Do we know?" "The energy signature matches Drexorian technology. Mid-level empire, about 40 light-years out, known for collecting specimens from developing worlds." Specimens. The word came out like poison. "They took our children as specimens." She was quiet for a moment. Then her voice became steel. "Commander Gardner, you have authorization to reveal Earth Defense Fleet. Rescue those children and show these Draxorians exactly what they've awakened." 12 hours later, in a hidden facility beneath the lunar surface, Captain Olivia Rodriguez walked through the gleaming corridor of Earth vessel Retribution. Around her, crew members prepared for departure, their movements practiced and precise. "Captain," her first officer called. "All systems report ready. The other 11 ships are standing by for your order." Rodriguez nodded. Earth's secret fleet of 12 warships represented the pinnacle of human engineering combined with reversed-engineered alien technology. They were faster, more heavily armed, and equipped with stealth systems that made them virtually undetectable. She sat in the command chair and opened the fleet-wide channel. "This is Captain Rodriguez to all ships. 5 of our children have been taken. We have tracked the Draxorian vessel to their home system. Our mission is simple: retrieve our people and demonstrate that humanity is not to be trifled with." The massive bay doors opened above them, revealing the star-filled blackness of space. "Engage stealth systems. Set course for the Draxorian Empire. Let's bring our kids home." As the Earth fleet accelerated beyond the solar system, they left behind frantic parents and a cover story about a missing school bus. The truth would come soon enough. Humanity's secret was about to be revealed to the galaxy, and the Draxorian Empire would be the first to learn just how dangerous it was to threaten the children of Earth. The Draxorian ship moved through space at incredible speed. Inside the control room, the ship's captain received an alert from one of his crew. "Captain, we're detecting an unusual signal," said the crew member. The captain frowned. "Source: unknown. It's in Galactic Standard Language, but coming from the direction of Earth. Impossible. Earth has no technology capable of deep space communication." The captain waved his hand dismissively. "Play it anyway." A clear voice filled the control room. "This is Captain Olivia Rodriguez of Earth Vessel Retribution. You have taken our children. Return them immediately or face the consequences." The Draxorians looked at each other in confusion. The captain laughed. "A trick. Perhaps another species is playing a joke." He turned to his communications officer. "Send no reply. Increase speed to home system." On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Rodriguez received the response she expected: silence. "They're not taking us seriously," she said to her first officer. "That will work in our favor, Captain. Fleet reports all ships at maximum stealth. The Draxorians have no idea we're following them." Rodriguez nodded. "Maintain course. Alert me when we reach the edge of Draxorian space." Back on the Draxorian vessel, the 5 children were putting their plan into action. Using the data card Benjamin had stolen, Maya had figured out how to access some of the ship's systems through a panel in their cell. "I can't control anything," she whispered to the others, "but I can see information." The others gathered around as she showed them a map of the ship's course. "We're heading toward that star system," said Benjamin, pointing to a bright spot on the display. "How long until we get there?" asked Zach. Maya studied the alien numbers, based on the countdown. "About 6 hours. We need to be ready when we arrive," said Lily. "They'll probably move us from the ship." Owen, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "I have an idea. They think we're just scared kids, right? What if we act even more scared? Make them think we're too frightened to be dangerous." The others looked at him with new respect. "That's smart," said Benjamin. "They'll let their guard down." "And then what?" asked Zach. "Then we look for a chance to contact someone who might help us," said Maya. "There must be other aliens besides the Draxorians." When Voxthar came to check on them an hour later, he found 5 seemingly broken children. Owen was curled up in a corner, whimpering. Lily was rocking back and forth. The others stared blankly at the walls. "The specimens have finally realized their situation," Voxthar said to his assistant. "Their earlier resistance was merely delayed shock. Now we see their true primitive nature." "Should we prepare them for transfer to the Science Academy?" asked the assistant. "Yes, they will not resist now." As the Draxorian ship approached its home system, an alert sounded throughout the vessel. "Proximity warning," said the captain's aide. "Ships approaching." "Our escort?" asked the captain. "No. Unknown vessels. 6 of them, appearing suddenly at the edge of our system." The captain stood up, alarmed. "Show me." The screen displayed 6 sleek ships of unfamiliar design. Before he could react, a transmission came through. "Draxorian vessel," said Captain Rodriguez's voice. "This is your final warning. Return the Earth children, or we will take action." The captain's 4 arms gestured wildly. "How do they follow us? How do they have ships? Earth is primitive." "They're hailing all frequencies," said the communications officer. "The entire Draxorian system is receiving their message." In the Imperial Palace on the Draxorian homeworld, Emperor Zelkar watched the transmission with growing anger. "Who are these humans to threaten the Draxorian Empire?" he demanded of his advisors. "They have no standing in the Galactic Confederation. They are not even a recognized spacefaring species." "The human ships are advanced, Your Majesty," said one advisor nervously. "Our scans indicate technology we don't understand." "Nonsense." Zelkar slammed his fist down. "They are bluffing. Order our defense platforms to lock onto these intruders." Tell them they have violated Drexorian space and must withdraw immediately or be destroyed. As the Emperor's message was transmitted, the children in their cell felt the ship slow down. "We've arrived," whispered Benjamin. "Everyone remember the plan," said Maya. "Act scared, stay together if possible, and watch for any chance to use what we've learned." The cell door slid open. 2 guards entered to take them away, unaware that the human children were far from defeated, and that an Earth fleet was about to show the Drexorian Empire exactly what humanity was capable of. The Imperial Science Academy on the Drexorian homeworld was a massive structure of gleaming metal and strange crystals. The 5 children were marched through its wide corridors, still pretending to be broken and scared. Groups of Drexorian scientists stopped to watch them pass. "These are the primitive Earth specimens," Voxfar announced proudly to a gathering of important-looking aliens in a large circular room. "We will now demonstrate their basic intelligence and physical capabilities." The children stood in the center of the room, keeping their heads down while secretly taking in every detail. Maya counted 14 exits. Benjamin noted the control panels near each door. Lily kept her eyes on the small tool she had stolen, now hidden in her sleeve. "Begin with the physical examination," ordered an elderly Drexorian wearing elaborate robes. As one of the scientists approached Owen with a scanning device, alarms suddenly blared throughout the building. Red lights flashed on every wall. "What is happening?" demanded the robed Drexorian. A younger alien rushed into the room. "Defense platforms, Alpha through Zeta, are offline. The Earth vessels have disabled them with some kind of energy pulse." "Impossible," shouted Voxthar. In orbit above the Drexorian homeworld, Captain Rodriguez watched as her fleet executed a perfect strike. The Earth ships had fired specialized EMP weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. "All defense platforms neutralized, Captain," reported her weapons officer. "No casualties on either side." "Good," said Rodriguez. "Open a channel to their Imperial Palace." On the view screen, the angry face of Emperor Zelkar appeared. "How dare you attack the Drexorian Empire? You will pay for this insult." Rodriguez remained calm. "We didn't come to start a war, Emperor. We came for our children. Return them immediately, and we will leave your system in peace." "You expect me to believe that?" Zelkar snarled. "Primitive humans suddenly appearing with advanced warships. You must have stolen this technology." "We developed it ourselves," said Rodriguez. "Humanity has kept its true capabilities hidden. Now you see a small fraction of what we can do." In the Science Academy, the children saw their chance in the confusion. While the Drexorians argued and shouted orders, Benjamin nudged the others. "Now," he whispered. Zack suddenly fell to the floor, holding his stomach and screaming. The scientists turned to look at him. In that moment, Lily pressed the stolen tool against a nearby control panel. Lights flickered throughout the room. "What did she do?" shouted Voxfar, pointing at Lily. Before anyone could grab her, Maya stepped forward. "We've sent a signal to our rescue team," she said, no longer pretending to be afraid. "They know exactly where we are now." The Drexorians stared at her in shock, not understanding how these primitive children could operate their technology. Outside the academy, a small Earth shuttle appeared, having slipped through the disable defenses. Inside was Major Grace Foster and a team of Special Forces soldiers. They had received the signal sent by the children. "Lock onto those coordinates," ordered Foster. "Prepare for insertion." Back in the academy, the elderly Drexorian approached the children. "You could not have sent any signal. You are primitive beings who cannot understand our technology." Benjamin stepped forward. "We understood enough. Your security systems are color-coded. Your access panels all have the same basic pattern. You thought we were just frightened kids, but we were studying you from the moment you took us." "Impossible," whispered Voxthar. Owen, no longer pretending to be scared, pointed to the ceiling. "Our people are coming for us, and they're not happy." As if on cue, part of the ceiling exploded inward. Through the cloud of dust came Major Foster and her team. dropping into the room on zip lines. They were wearing advanced combat suits that made them look almost like machines. "Back away from the children," Foster ordered, her voice amplified through her helmet. The Drexorians froze, stunned by the sudden appearance of adult humans in their supposedly secure facility. Lily ran to Foster. "We knew you'd come." "Of course we did," said Foster, keeping her weapons trained on the aliens. "No one takes Earth's children and gets away with it." Emperor Zelkar, watching the scene unfold through security feeds in his palace, finally began to understand the terrible mistake his empire had made. In trying to capture what they thought were simple specimens, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. News of the human ships and their attack on the defense platforms spread quickly across the galaxy. The Galactic Confederation, which governed relations between spacefaring civilizations, called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 27 species gathered in the Great Hall on the neutral planet Centaurus. They sat around a massive table, arguing loudly among themselves. "How did humans develop such technology without our knowledge?" asked the representative from the Crawl Dominion, a lizard-like being with scales that shifted colors with his mood. "More importantly, what do they want?" said the Valerian diplomat, her 6 eyes blinking nervously. The oldest member of the Confederation, an Etherian elder named Zinra, raised his hand for silence. The Etherians were known for their wisdom and long lives. "We have underestimated these humans," he said, his voice soft, but carrying to every corner of the room. "Our observers reported them as primitive, but they were clearly hiding their true capabilities." Meanwhile, on the Drexorian homeworld, Major Foster and her team had secured the area around the children. The Drexorian scientists backed away, their hands raised in surrender. "Are you all okay?" Foster asked the children. They nodded, standing taller now, no longer pretending to be afraid. "We're fine," said Benjamin, "but we learned a lot about their technology. I've been taking notes." He pulled out a small piece of fabric torn from his shirt, covered in tiny writing. Foster smiled inside her helmet. "You kids are something else." "Their computer systems aren't that different from ours," added Maya. "I memorized parts of their scientific database." The elderly Drexorian who had been watching stepped forward cautiously. "Who are you humans? How is this possible?" Foster turned to him. "We are exactly what we appear to be, a species that protects its young at all costs." In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zelkar faced a difficult decision. His advisors surrounded him, all talking at once. "Your Majesty, the human ships have disabled our orbital defenses without firing a single lethal shot," said his military commander. "They could have destroyed them, but chose not to. And now they have troops inside our most secure facility," added another advisor. "Yet they have not harmed any Drexorians." Zelkar paced the room. "What are you suggesting?" "That we surrender to these primitives." "I suggest we negotiate, Your Majesty," said his oldest advisor. "They appear to want only their young returned." The Emperor stared at the screens showing the human ships in orbit. They were elegant, powerful vessels that showed advanced design beyond anything the Drexorians possessed. "Open a channel to their leader," he finally ordered. Captain Rodriguez received the Emperor's call on the bridge of the Retribution. "This is Captain Rodriguez. This is Emperor Zelkar of the Drexorian Empire. I propose a ceasefire and immediate negotiations for the return of your children." Rodriguez nodded. "I accept your offer. But know this. The children must be returned unharmed, and we require a formal apology and assurance this will never happen again." At the Science Academy, Foster received word of the negotiations. "We're going home," she told the children. "What about them?" asked Lily, pointing to the Drexorian scientists. "They're not our concern anymore," said Foster. "Our mission was to get you out safely." As they prepared to leave, Voxthar approached them, moving slowly to show he meant no harm. "Before you go, I must ask, how did you children learn our systems so quickly?" Zack shrugged. "We play video games harder than this." Owen nodded. "And we do puzzles for fun." "Plus," added Benjamin, You guys made it easy with all the color coding. Voxstar seemed stunned by their answers. The children were escorted to Foster's shuttle. As they left the academy, they saw the human ships hovering in the sky, powerful and imposing. "Those are our ships?" asked Maya in wonder. "Just a small part of our fleet," said Foster. "Earth has been preparing for a very long time." In the Confederation meeting hall, news arrived of the negotiations between the Draxorians and humans. The representatives fell silent as they realized the implications. "A new power has entered galactic politics," said Elder Zinra, "and they have announced themselves not through conquest or trade, but through the protection of their children." "What does this mean for the balance of power?" asked the Krall representative. The Elder's eyes seemed to look into the future. "It means everything has changed. The humans are not what we thought they were. And we would be wise to remember that." The grand hall of the Draxorian Imperial Palace shimmered with light reflecting off its crystal walls. Emperor Zelkar sat on his throne, his advisors standing nervously behind him. Across from them, Captain Rodriguez and Commander Gardner led the human delegation. The 5 children sat between them, no longer prisoners but honored guests. "Let the record show that the Draxorian Empire acknowledges its error in taking human children from their home planet," said a court official, reading from a glowing tablet. Emperor Zelkar shifted uncomfortably on his throne. "The Empire recognizes the sovereign status of Earth and offers its formal apology for the unauthorized collection of specimens." "Children," corrected Rodriguez firmly. "Not specimens. Children." "Yes," said the Emperor, his skin turning a darker shade of blue with embarrassment. "Children." Benjamin watched the proceedings with keen interest. Just days ago, these aliens had treated them like animals. Now they were signing treaties with humans. "The Empire will provide reparations in the form of technological data and trade agreements," continued the official. Commander Gardner nodded. "Acceptable. Earth also requires assurance that no further attempts will be made to abduct any humans, regardless of age." "Agreed," said Zelkar quickly. As the adults continued their negotiations, Maya leaned over to Owen. "They're really scared of us now," she whispered. Owen nodded. "Or at least scared of our ships." "It's more than that," said Lily. "They're scared because they were wrong about us." On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Confederation continued its emergency session. Representatives from various species debated what to do about the humans. "We should invite them to join the Confederation immediately," said the Valerian diplomat. "Better to have them as allies than potential enemies." "They'd violated Draxorian sovereignty," argued the Krall representative. "We cannot reward such behavior." Elder Zinra raised his hand again. "The humans did not start this conflict. They responded to the taking of their young. What species among us would not do the same?" The chamber fell silent, considering his words. Back on the Draxorian homeworld, the treaty signing concluded. As part of the agreement, Voxstar and his science team were required to brief the human delegation on all their findings. "The children displayed remarkable adaptability and intelligence," admitted Voxstar, addressing Commander Gardner. "Their problem-solving skills exceed our models for species at Earth's development stage." Gardner smiled slightly. "Perhaps your models need updating." "Yes," agreed Voxstar sheepishly. "Clearly they do." That evening, the children were given a tour of the Imperial Gardens. Beautiful plants from across the galaxy grew in carefully maintained environments. Zack stared in wonder at flowers that changed color as they passed. "It's amazing," he said. "Yes," agreed their Draxorian guide. "These specimens come from over 200 worlds." "You really like collecting specimens, don't you?" said Benjamin dryly. The guide's skin flushed dark blue. That is." Maya laughed. "It's okay. Just make sure they're plants or rocks from now on." In orbit above the planet, Captain Rodriguez received a transmission from Earth. The President's face appeared on the screen. "Excellent work, Captain," said President Wilson. "The children are safe, and you've established humanity's position without unnecessary bloodshed." "Thank you, Madam President. But what happens next?" The president's expression grew serious. "The Galactic Confederation has sent a formal invitation for Earth to join their assembly. Our secret is out. It's time for humanity to take its place among the stars." Rodriguez looked out the viewport at the stars. "Do we accept?" "Yes, but on our terms. Commander Gardner will serve as Earth's first ambassador. His experience with both military and diplomatic matters makes him ideal for the role." As night fell on the Draxorian homeworld, the 5 children gazed up at the unfamiliar stars from a balcony in the palace. They would return home soon, but they knew their lives had changed forever. "Do you think we'll ever go to space again?" asked Owen. "Definitely," said Benjamin. "After what happened, I bet they'll create a special program for us." "The first human kids to be abducted by aliens," said Lily with a smile. "That has to count for something." "It counts for everything," said a voice behind them. They turned to see Commander Gardner. "You 5 have changed the course of human history. The galaxy knows we exist now, and more importantly, they know not to underestimate us." Zack grinned. "All because they picked the wrong kids to mess with." "Exactly," said Gardner. "They thought they were getting specimens. Instead, they got a lesson they'll never forget." 3 months passed since the children returned to Earth. The world had changed dramatically. Humanity's secret space program was now public knowledge. Ships from the Galactic Confederation regularly visited Earth, and humans were traveling to other worlds for the first time openly. In a large auditorium in Geneva, Switzerland, the 5 children sat in the front row. They wore formal clothes and fidgeted nervously as dignitaries from Earth and across the galaxy filled the room. "I still can't believe all this happened because of us," whispered Owen to Maya. "Not because of us," she corrected. "Because they underestimated us." On stage, Commander Gardner, now Ambassador Gardner, stood at a podium. Behind him sat Captain Rodriguez and President Wilson, along with representatives from 12 alien species. "Today marks the official entry of Earth into the Galactic Confederation," Gardner announced. "After centuries of isolation, humanity takes its place among the stars." The audience applauded. In the 3 months since the Draxorian incident, Earth had negotiated favorable terms for joining the Confederation. The technology from the Draxorians had accelerated human development by decades. "Before we sign the final agreements," continued Gardner, "we wish to honor 5 young people who catalyzed these historic events." He called the children to the stage. They walked up together, holding hands for courage. Zack and Lily Martinez, Benjamin Adams, Maya Johnson, and Owen Clark faced an ordeal that would have broken many adults. Their courage, intelligence, and resourcefulness not only ensured their own survival, but changed the future of our entire species. President Wilson stepped forward and placed a medal around each child's neck. "The Star of Humanity," she said, "our highest civilian honor." The audience rose to their feet in thunderous applause. Among them, the children could see their parents, crying with pride. After the ceremony, a reception was held in the Grand Hall. Aliens and humans mingled, sharing food and conversation. The Draxorian Empire, now considerably humbled, had sent a delegation led by a subdued Voxthar. He approached the children cautiously. "I wish to personally apologize for my actions," he said. "My ignorance caused great harm." Benjamin looked at him steadily. "What will you do differently now?" "I will study cultures before judging them," said Voxthar. "And I will never again assume that size or technological development indicates intelligence or worth." The children accepted his apology with grace that surprised the adults watching. Later that evening, Elder Zinra of the Etherians requested a private meeting with the 5 children. They gathered in a small garden room, curious about what the ancient alien wanted. "I have lived for 900 of your Earth years," said Zinra, his silver eyes twinkling. "I have seen empires rise and fall, but rarely have I witnessed such a pivotal moment as what you 5 created." "We just wanted to go home," said Lily simply. "And yet you achieved so much more," said the elder. The Drexorians are not evil, merely arrogant. They needed this lesson, as did many in the Confederation. What lesson? Asked Zack. That appearances deceive. That intelligence and courage can exist in any form. That parents will cross galaxies to save their children. The elder smiled. These are lessons some of us had forgotten. As the children prepared to leave, Zinra spoke one last time. The Etherian Council has a tradition of identifying species with special potential. We call them Nexus species, those who changed the course of galactic history. Humans are now recognized as such. What does that mean for us? Asked Maya. It means your future is boundless, said Zinra. Within my lifetime, humans will walk among the stars as equals to those who have traveled space for thousands of years. That night, the 5 children stood on a balcony looking up at the stars. Where once they had seemed distant and unreachable, they now represented possibility and adventure. We're going back up there someday, said Benjamin. All of us. Promise? Asked Owen. The others nodded. Their bond, forged in the strangest of circumstances, was unbreakable. The Drexorians thought they were just grabbing some helpless kids, said Lily. Instead, they accidentally introduced the galaxy to humanity. Maya laughed. Worst mistake they ever made. Best thing that ever happened to us, corrected Zack, watching as a Confederation ship streaked across the night sky, its lights twinkling like a new star, a symbol of humanity's future among the endless worlds above.